The publican here is Mick Evans.
About 3 years after we came to live at this pub, we were in this room on a Sunday evening, having just finished, and I was sitting over there reading the newspaper, and my wife had the television, must have been quietly, when we both looked at one another, and because we heard organ music. And through the adjacent wall, there was an organ or a harmonium in the Sunday school, and it was playing audibly. So I went to investigate with the two dogs, and as I was approaching the top of the stairs, the music was still playing, and to my surprise, the door was still intact and not been broken into as I thought. So I put the key in, opened the door, and the room was in darkness, and as I opened the door, the organ music stopped playing.
And there was nobody there?
There was nobody there at all.
The story intrigued two pub regulars, an electrical engineer and an industrial chemist. They decided to investigate.
We reasoned that possibly the noises were actually coming from the fabric of the building. So we then decided to take a sample of the stones that the building is made out of, and we found that they contained silica and a percentage of ferric oxide, the very things that are in microchips and recording tapes. So what we've reasoned is that possibly the walls were acting as a low-grade, primitive recording medium.
So what next?
Well, we very simply drove the electrodes...
Alan and John showed me how they passed an electric current through two nails hammered into the wall, then set up a microphone and tape machine. Time to start recording at 1 a.m. The room was locked. When they returned the next day, this is what they heard. So what would you say to people who would say, come on, this is just a pub prank?
Well, it's understandable that people are sceptical of our claims, but we were sincere.
We've come under a lot of ridicule. But, as John said, there's something going on, a phenomena which we can't understand.
We've decided to try our own experiment, so I've called in Roger Waldron, a sound recordist with 12 years' experience at the BBC. You're the sound engineer we're pinning all our hopes on. What have you got planned?
For that, I've got a digital recorder, which I'm going to set up with a contact microphone in one channel, which will be attached to the wall and pick up any sounds from the wall, and an open microphone in the other, in the room, in case we're getting noises within the room. And then I'll be setting up downstairs, cabling the microphones back through the window, and staying up in the pub all night.
So you're staying downstairs to monitor all the sounds?
That's right, yes.
Now, how are you going to make sure there's no hoaxing or anything like that?
That is a thought. So to try and overcome that problem, I've got some specialised security equipment, which is a sort of remotely operated movement sensor. And if there's any movement, these will trigger an alarm downstairs in the room where I hopefully are still awake.
Good morning.
Morning, Chris.
Did you pick anything up?
We did, amazingly, yes. Just after 3 o'clock this morning, there were two sets of rapping noises in the room, quite interestingly different. The first set was picked up by both microphones. That's the one on the wall and the one in the room. Let's have a quick listen to those.
So that was recorded from the wall, almost like somebody banging against the wall.
It could, quite easily. But this second set of knockings is even more interesting. Now listen to this. This is just from the microphone in the room.
So that's a sound being made, not from the wall, but within the room itself?
Within the room itself, that's right.
Anybody that knows the history of this place, it used to be a courtroom upstairs, might say that that sounds like a judge's gavel crashing down. Can you be absolutely sure there's nobody up there?
Reasonably sure, yes, none of the sensors went off.
And what about the chances of it being caused by some everyday sound?
That is impossible. They're rather heavy noises. There were certainly small noises in the night, which I isolated to the central heating for one, and a constant little rattling from the time switch from John's experiment.
So you've eliminated those.
We've eliminated those, definitely.
Now, I asked you here, along with all this high-tech equipment, to try and shed some new light on this old mystery. How far do you think you've got?
Well, I think with the results we've got, we've only added further to the mystery. And in terms of any ideas to where the sounds have come from, I'm afraid I can add nothing to that whatsoever.